Hi, this is your favorite contrarian, Gail Brecky. So I'm here to share with you a recent experience I had at a conference and give you my thoughts about it. And so just to set the stage, I want to remind you that one of the things I talk about is that we must think differently if we want different results. The current approaches in healthcare to look at isolated objectives, for example, improving access or improving some specific measurement of Medicare patients. These scattershot approaches don't make us better off broadly over the long term, and in fact, they usually make things worse. So we need first principles thinking. So what I mean by this is actuarial and economic principles and primary care tenets. These are the first principles upon which we should be basing all of our efforts to improve healthcare. And I call this primary care mindset. And we will talk another time about examples that we have from other industries where these kinds of first principles thinking were instrumental in revolutionizing something. But for today, I want to share with you my thoughts about a conference I attended last week called Don't Feed the Beast. And so let me just read to you a little bit about this conference. The Don't Feed the Beast conference brings together healthcare buyers, providers, and patients who are no longer satisfied with the state of healthcare. The beast represents any member of the healthcare industrial complex who does not live by the values of trust, transparency, the golden rule, and the Hippocratic Oath. And I'm going to share with you some reasons for optimism that I took away from the conference. And before I do that, let me just share with you the adorable little plush beast that they sent with us. That is just so cute. So he's going to be here with me going forward to remind me what we're doing. We're trying to improve things and not just give in to the dysfunctions of the current healthcare system. So the reasons for optimism that I took away from the conference are that direct primary care, direct specialty care, and cash surgery centers and low-cost prescriptions are areas where there's a lot of activity, there's a lot of movement, there's a lot of value that folks that are bringing these kinds of services, these kind of approaches to employers are adding just tremendous value. And that's largely who spoke at this conference. There were some other folks. So in addition to these sorts of innovative providers, if you will, care providers or suppliers of healthcare, some of the other people that were there were people like Marty McCary, who I would fondly refer to as a contrarian, as somebody who speaks out about what he sees as very dysfunctional about the healthcare system. There were other people there who would characterize themselves as whistleblowers. And certainly it was very informative to listen to the employers who have gone down these roads of engaging with these kinds of suppliers or providers who are about transparency. They are about taking better care of patients and providing a better service to employers so they can be successful and not have so much of their spend, of their expenses for their business going to benefits. So one of the things that came away from the conference that I think is possibly a reason to be optimistic is that the BUCAs are not really pursuing commercial business very much. They're now to the point where most of their efforts are going to secure Medicare and Medicaid business and to, make things more advantageous for them with those sorts of patients. Certainly that's not necessarily a good thing for the patients, those beneficiaries, or taxpayers for that matter. But perhaps it takes a little bit of the pressure off of the employers. And I look at it as a very positive sign that employers and others are creating organizations like the organization that sponsored this conference, which they're called Self-Fund Health. And there are other similar organizations in Wisconsin, which is where this conference was focused, as well as other places. Other kinds of collaborations are taking off, and people are highly motivated. A lot of people are highly motivated to find ways to make this better, to make healthcare work better, for it to be more efficient, for it to work better for business and for the employees and their beneficiaries. So really to have these win-win-win situations that are out there and are certainly available and possible if you will put the work into understanding it and finding the people that are doing this and are interested in partnering with you. Another thing that I think just broadly I took away as a very good thing is just how much activity there is in all of these areas with the direct primary care, the direct specialty care, the prescriptions is such a big area because the PBMs, the big PBMs are so corrupt. I don't think that's too strong of a word. They're so corrupt. They have ways to hide what they're really doing from employers and ways to, certainly try to get the most they can out of essentially victimizing people that feel like they don't have other choices. Another thing that I think is really a positive sign about all of this activity with employers is that employers can't escape the accountability of the market. They're in business, so they have to earn more in revenue than they have to pay out in expenses if they want to continue to do business. They have to serve customers. They have to watch their expenses. They have to be concerned about retention and recruitment of employees. So unlike government programs, unlike other kinds of players in healthcare that are more bureaucratic, maybe quasi-governmental or government programs like Medicare and Medicaid, employers really have a much more built-in accountability. So they have to pay attention to what really works. They have to pay attention to their bottom line if they want to keep serving their customers and stay in business. So to me, that's a positive sign because we have the people that have to be accountable because they're part of the market. They're running a business. They are becoming more and more interested and involved in how can we do this better? There has to be a better way. And there are so many vendors, if you will, so many providers of services. And it's not just medical providers. It's software vendors. It's, a number of other sorts of businesses, even related to the insurance piece, whether they're captives or stop loss or whatever they are. There's a lot of interest and a lot of activity. So to me, this is all good news because these are the sorts of people that can actually make it better and have the motivation and the accountability that will help that. Again, I think it's really uplifting to me to see that all of these people are very motivated and eager to help. They want to figure things out. They want to work hard to make all of this work because it's satisfying to do something that helps people. The whistleblowers, the truth tellers, the innovators, they were all represented here. And I believe the more employers learn and get involved in this area and try new things and try some innovations, try some changes themselves and work through that and learn, the more the learning and the benefit will accrue to their employees and their dependents. So this is all good things, which is not to say that, there aren't ways to make mistakes or that people here and there can't be worse off if, something goes a little bit awry. But by and large, I see this as positive developments, that the people that can actually make this better and have reasons to do so are getting more and more involved. And I also want to point out that another thing that I think is really positive is that these solutions are all bottom up. It's not a big bureaucracy or somebody in a fancy, business tower in Washington, making decisions, or it's not a legislature, it's not a regulatory. This is just people in business trying to do better for their company and their employees. And so these kinds of bottom up solutions are what really works. Top down, more bureaucracy, more rules coming out of CMS, more insurance companies following the rules for Medicare. None of that, no example I can think of off the top of my head actually makes things better. The top down just can't be responsive to what really works and how things actually work on the ground, because not everybody is the same. Companies are different. Parts of the country are different. I mean, we need the flexibility that is afforded by bottom-up solutions. So just to try and wrap up and not go too long, I do want to call out one other thing, that this organization, Self-Fund Health, that did this conference, they use this really nice metaphor of two oars. So you're rowing a boat, and the two folks rowing, the two oars, are represented by the buyer and the seller of healthcare. They have to move together in order to actually get a better result, in order to move the boat in a relatively straight line down the channel or the river or whatever it is. So in order to do that, they have to work together. They have to be pulling about the same amount, about the same way. And this is about finding the win-win-win, where the employer wins, the physician or the caregiver or the facility wins, and the employees and their dependents win. So our expectation should be this sort of mutually beneficial exchange. This is what actually works. This is how we should think about bottom-up exchanges, bottom-up economic activity, whether it's healthcare or something else. An exchange only happens if it benefits both parties. So the two oars is a good metaphor, I think, that also reminds us that this has to work for everybody. This has to be a win-win, and it's a very positive sign in this movement that they certainly spent time at this conference characterizing it as free market healthcare, which I completely agree with. This movement is about bottom-up thinking about what really works and finding ways for win-win-win, and setting aside the idea that it has to be top-down, it has to be the government fixing it, it has to be all collectivized so everybody is treated exactly the same way because it's all, these rules that are one size fits all. That doesn't work anywhere else, and it doesn't work in healthcare either. So again, I just wanted to share this with you. The Beast and I thank you for joining us, and we will bring another topic again to you soon. Thank you. Oh, shoot. Where am I going? Okay. Thank you.